What's up, Bronco Nation? Welcome back to a special live edition of Blue Turf Talk. We are live streaming tonight. Over 3,000 members of Bronco Nation updates across YouTube, Facebook, X, and everywhere else Bronco fans gather. I'm Nick Wade, your host. I'm joined by Sam Gillette of Sam Talk Sports, and we are excited to welcome back someone we've known and supported since before the season began. Boise State's big-time class of 26 quarterback commit, Jackson Taylor. What's up, my friend?
What's going on? Thanks for having me back.
First off, welcome back. You know how much we appreciate you. You were one of the first recruits we covered this season, and plus the article that we wrote about you in that first Blue Turf Talk episode, and you really helped fans get to know you, who you are. Before we dive into everything, how does it feel to be back with us and live in front of Bronco Nation?
No, that's so cool. I'm so glad it's like live this time. Like, that's such a cool thing to do. I had such a great time last time. I remember I was at my grandma's house, and we set some time aside to be able to go upstairs and film, and I had a great time. So I'm glad we're able to do it again, and this time live. Pretty cool.
The fan base has been talking about you nonstop, especially with Maddox going down this year and the backup QB play and all that going on. How aware have you been of the conversations happening inside Bronco Nation, and what do you want the fans to know right off the bat?
I mean, I see a decent amount of them naturally. I've told people, like, while I'm not, technically officially there yet, like, it's you kind of have the freedom to read some stuff and kind of look at it as a fan for a little bit. But then, as soon as you get there, like, it's go time. You got to be fully engaged in what you're doing. So I do see some of it naturally just going through social media anyway. But, just as a message, like, I would start off and say, like, we have an awesome class. Like, we have a really, really not only talented, but like such a great group of people, which I think says a lot about the coaching staff, a lot about Coach D. So to have such a great group of people who are also obviously talented, or they wouldn't even be in this position to begin with, all coming in at the same time and get to go in as a group and get into the system. Like, these guys are bought in. I've talked to, I believe, every single commit we have. We're bought in. We're excited. So I think that's really cool, a cool dynamic to have going in.
Who are you most excited to play with next year?
Oh, my goodness. Like, I mean, it's easy to say the receivers. It's easy to say, the guys we're throwing the ball to. But, like, we have a great group of guys up front. I'm excited, but we have some really good DBs coming in too. So, like, I know we just got a commit from Hawaii, which is really cool, Madden. So, like, I get so excited about each new guy we get and seeing, like, oh, where's your background? Like, where are you coming from? What school? And, I know he was at UCLA too. So
yeah, I was about to say, that's the guy that flipped from UCLA, right?
Yeah, it's pretty big to be able to combine the two and get now, we're getting UCLA commits over here. That's pretty special.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. Obviously you're gonna try and compete for the starting role right off the rip, right?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is always to play as early as you can, but I know we're gonna have Maddox coming back, and he's gonna be, God willing, healthy and everything. And I have no doubt that it's gonna be his team for his senior year. And that's a great thing. I know people have opinions, but I think he's been doing a great job. You're not going to find a better, a tougher competitor than he is. And he does his job really well. So I'm really excited to be able to spend a year and, like, from January to the end of the next season, like, playing under him and seeing what he does and seeing what he does that works so well, and then being able to combine it with what I believe I do well. I think that's going to make a pretty good combo. So to have a whole year to learn from him when he's at, I think he's gonna be at his best, for his senior year, to be able to see his best and then combine it with me going into my first year. Like, I think there's gonna be a good foundation to build on.
Nice.
Well, Bronco Nation, so we've got class of 26 quarterback commit Jackson Taylor on the show with us. If you have any questions or comments, make sure that you put those in the chat where you're watching. We prefer that you be on YouTube. It's a lot easier to keep track of your comments and stuff. And then as we go through the show, if you have any questions for him, we'll go ahead, or comments as we get along, and we'll bring those up and give them the opportunity to answer any of your questions. But first, Bronco Nation's kind of had a tough time with recruits this off season, or I guess with your recruiting class. They did see a couple of your classmates in your position room decommit. You had Bryson Beaver decommit, and he went to Oregon, and you had Traden Bessinger. He committed to Iowa. And what really gives me some comfort is I'm seeing you on the recruiting trail, like helping Boise State recruit people. And are you going to continue to do that until you hit the blue?
Oh, absolutely. I think, I hope people have seen like some stuff on social media, because I do it as much for the players. I want people to see that like our group of commits, like we're all in on each other also, which I think is a pretty cool thing to have. So I'm absolutely going to keep doing that. I was just talking to Connor. I think it's Legros. It should be Legros because the dude's huge, but he'll be visiting this weekend. I think he plays tackle. So like just trying to keep like, I want to bring the most talented class in that we can. I think we kind of have, or we're pretty close. I saw something that we had one of the higher ranked classes recently. I'm not sure if that's true for sure. I haven't actually checked, but I've heard that. So I don't know if there's a fact check in the distance somewhere. I don't know, but like I've heard that, and I think that's pretty cool, especially going into this year. So obviously I'm going to keep doing that. I love doing that. I enjoy it. I did it for my own high school. Like I find it natural and pretty fun to do.
Yeah. And, I'm not sure how much you saw, with the dominoes falling. They didn't fall too much. We have about an 85% success rate between commit to, actually signing and being on the blue, which I'll take that. What went through your mind watching all that happen, and what made you stay firm?
Well, I was only really around for the Bryson and Traden. I'm close with Jackson Presley, who I know was committed earlier. But that was kind of before I was even talking with the coaches. It's easy to see, and like naturally you say, oh, well, that's, one less guy I got to compete with. Like that's obviously the good part about it. But I feel for fans and stuff who are, in a neutral position if the quarterback's coming in, because like obviously I only know myself 100%, and I don't know these guys, and the fans know everyone about the same. So I definitely feel where they're coming from, because I remember even in high school recruiting guys, and like you feel like, oh, he's totally coming. My friend from my old school, he's totally going to be here, and he seems like he's all in. And then, last second, things change. And it's like, oh, well, that sucks, So I actually understand the feeling. I know it's different, but it's easy to kind of sit in the natural, like, oh, well, obviously I want to be the only guy they take in the class, but also understanding that if the room is like low in numbers, in terms of like most rooms will have four scholarship guys, 4 and 5. So they're gonna have to fill it up somehow, however they do that. But obviously being aware of all that, not like I'm not paying attention.
And we are blessed to get you early on in the show. So, and I'm a pretty good judge of character. So like I was pretty confident, what you were saying, you were going to follow through. So, and I get you out there who are watching Bronco Nation, with kind of what we went through. A lot of fans are like, well, I'll believe it when I see him on the blue. So, I think when we talked earlier, you're going to be on campus in January, correct?
Yes.
And so you've had plenty of opportunities to waiver like others did, but you didn't. So what is it about Boise State, Coach Danielson, the program's direction, and this move to this next gen Pac-12 conference, however that is going to look in the next coming years, that made you stay locked in?
Oh, I could give a list. Like, first of all, Boise itself is an amazing place, easy to live there. Every time I step off the plane, it feels like it doesn't feel like somewhere I'm traveling to. It feels like something I'm a part of, and it feels like home. As cliche as it sounds, but it's true. So to have that feeling already is really special. And then you get in and you have an amazing head coach, at the helm of everything. And I believe not only just what he stands for, but how he acts translates down not only through the coaches, but in the players, but also, every one of the staff. Like everybody's bought into the same goal, um, which is so cool. And it's hard to get that, especially in college football, because especially where there's money involved, like it's a selfish world naturally. Like that's just kind of what it is. So to see a team that seems so, you know, against that and bought into each other, into their goals, like it's so easy to want to be a part of that. So when you combine that with, the place, and there's no head coach in the country I'd rather play for than Coach D. So I'm so excited for him to be able to coach me. I remember when I committed, he told my dad, he's like, I can't wait to yell at your son. Like, pretty cool dynamic. Like, I mean, that's just what football is. So I'm excited for that. And there's so many other reasons. And obviously it feels like there's a good opportunity to earn a spot if I do my job and work the way I intend to. So there's a lot of good, and there's pretty much no bad. So that's a pretty good combo.
Yeah. And with the decommits, you move up the ladder that much quicker without even having to step foot on the field yet.
Right. Naturally, for sure. So that obviously doesn't hurt.
Yeah. We're going to ask this question here, and then we're going to take a couple fan questions that have been coming through, one on YouTube and one from my dad, it's a miracle that I get him to watch it on YouTube because he won't sign up for anything to be able to type out the questions himself. So he sends them to me. Hi, Pop. From a football standpoint, what specifically about Nate Potter's system fits your game so well that you never even considered backing away?
I've talked to him and to Coach Hill about this already, but there is so much that I can point on film and I can say, here, watch this play, and now here's one of my film, watch this play. And it's not only is it the same play, but it's the same process. It's coached the same. So
Nice.
when you have that in high school going into the place you're going to play football at in college, like that's really cool. And that is important because now you feel like even though you're a freshman, you're learning things for the first time in a college setting, it's familiar to you. So when you combine that, and to be specific, like there's a lot of under center play action stuff, a lot of stuff where because the offense is built on the run game, the throw game adapts off of that. And we have that in our school. We had a really talented running back the last 2 years, 3 years. Every year I've been here, we've had a really talented running back where we've been able to run the ball first and then build the pass game off of that. So when we're combining those two, and now I'm getting to do that, in the college I'm going to play for, it helps a ton. So I'm really excited about that. I've talked to both of them about that, and, they're excited to see how it translates.
All right. We'll take our first fan comment. I'm assuming this is from Mr. Dorn himself. It could be Loretta, though. What do you believe your strengths are, and how will they benefit the Broncos?
I would say it's going to be tough to find someone who loves football the way I do. I've recently, and I'll be straightforward about it. It was the beginning of this past off season that I really developed like this deep love for the sport, because I realized that it's not just, I no longer play just because of the reasons why I started, but just because it's fun and you have friends that play and your parents want you to play. Now you understand what you're really playing for and why it matters to you. So when you take that mindset into how you prepare week in and week out, how you prepare in the off season, that works, levels. Like that's huge. And when you combine that with someone who I take a lot of pride in the mental aspect of quarterback, because I'm not a physical specimen where you're going to say, obviously you got to take that guy. He's huge and he's the most athletic guy in the country. And I'm not like, the most incredibly like the fastest dude to run a 4.4. So like I have to have something that's different and that is better than other people if I want to be able to play. And I believe that's my ability to process information and to learn and to actually, go and act on that in game. So to combine the love I have for football that I'm honestly grateful it was more recent that I discovered it, because now I've actually matured into how I can really apply that. When you combine that with someone who really cares about mental process and how you prepare, it's hard to, it's a recipe for success.
Yeah. And then my pop, who's watching back at home, says, what's your favorite routes to throw, and who's most valuable to you, tight ends or wide receivers?
Honestly, first of all, the second question, you got to put value in both. The question, if we're going to ask which is more valuable, I'd love to answer with tight end, because I love a big target. It never hurts to have a big target who's also really physical and, plays to be able to, plays for contact. So when you get a guy who can make really big contact catches, that's huge. And in terms of favorite routes to throw, I love throwing a backside dig late in a progression. If you're working something to the field and it's not there, you get to flip your eyes, and right in your face is a dig, right in across the window. Everything's flowing away. Bang, throw a dig backside. And it also feels satisfying because you work through a whole progression. You feel smart and everything. So that's probably my favorite route to throw.
Nice. My favorite route to catch was probably a little 5-yard outs in the slants, just because my brother, he was a quarterback too, and he could lead me right and just go. It was fun.
You got that chemistry naturally already.
Yeah. Yep. So let's talk about your dominant senior season. You finished 8-3, 176 for 251, had 2,449 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 124.2 QBR, and you set 2 school career records in passing yards and touchdowns. What part of your game took the biggest leap this year?
It's got to be, like we were talking about with mental processing, it's got to be my preparation, and then how it results in game. My completion percentage went up 10% from last year. And, we're not just throwing screens and like getting the ball out quick and easy. Like, a lot of these are earned. So, I take pride in the fact that we're throwing the ball downfield more, or at least there's more to the routes we're getting to. And then when you combine that now with an upgraded preparation and how I approach each game, I developed a whole new system for the week leading up to each game, and felt like it definitely worked. So that got better than it's ever been, and there's still so much room to improve with it, which is what I'm excited about. And then also making smart decisions with the football. And actually having a reason for every throw I made, where I felt like maybe in past years there were times I got to something when excuse me, when I got to something and now I'm looking back and I'm like, why did I do that? But this year there was everything, like, saw the pieces that moved to make that happen, and the reason why I threw that. And I go back and grade games with my coach. The eyes and feet category was very high.
Yeah, it's going to take being the general at Boise State on the iconic blue. It's going to take some real good headspace, that emotional intelligence, EQ. I'm really high on that. That's why I always ask all of our guests, hey, how are you doing? And because at Boise State there are high expectations. But before we get further down that rabbit hole, you finished with 7,999 yards for your career at your school at Thousand Oaks. Records last forever in your school's history. Aside from that 1 yard, what does it mean to you to leave your name permanently etched where future players coming in behind you will see it?
Dude, we couldn't find 1 more yard in there to get to 8. Like, that's kind of crazy to me. I don't know. I got to talk to my coaches about that, because that's kind of insane. But I think it's important. I know it doesn't actually really mean anything in the long run, but the reason it's important to me is because, when I was here and you go and you look at the record books and you're like, oh, who's this guy? He has this record. What did he end up doing? Oh, he went to this school and he had this NFL career or whatever it is. Like, I know I looked up to those. So, assuming people have at least somewhat of, quarterbacks that come through the school have a similar mentality, like it's cool to be able to be that for them. And, a newer version, we haven't had record breakers in a while. We had a couple down years, and then we had some like heavy run years. So, maybe to be a newer version of that is pretty cool. So I'm excited that, people may have the same mentality I did and maybe look up to those. That's the cool part about it.
Yeah, you were 551 for 893, and like Nick said, 1 yard shy of 8,000, 84 touchdowns, a 109.6 career QBR. Those aren't normal high school stats for throwing high schools, let alone a high school with the running backs you say that you've had. What are you most proud of? What game last year was your favorite game, and what are you most proud of the season as it progressed?
I would say my favorite game was probably our second game of the year. This year we played Ventura High School. We have like an unofficial rivalry in the sense that we kind of play each other every year. And there's a little bit of tensions there because they have some D1 guys. We had some D1 guys. So like to get after it with each other is pretty fun. And we had a pretty close to flawless game offensively. And I feel like it was probably my best game. I don't even know if it was statistically, but it was just in, I think every decision of, where I put the ball was right. And, again, that's going to pretty much always lead you to some sort of success. And then it kind of goes back to the same thing that I would say, improve the most is like that process of having a reason for every decision you make and being able to actually see it in real time as things are flying by. Like being able to, I could pull up, moments that I remember where it's like, I know we have this blitz and I know we're hot. So I know we have to get into this play so we can replace it. And, when you see those happen in game, especially in like important games, close games, like it's rewarding because it's easy to see it on film. It's like, oh, they're lined up this way. They're doubled up on this guy. They're going to bring one of them and cover with the other guy. It's like, okay, it's easy to see. Here we go. Now we're in a game. We're in fourth down in the red zone. We got to make a play. And then you get into that and, it's successful. Like it's rewarding.
Go take some, I was about to say customer. Go take some fan comments and questions. Allie says she's super excited about this guy. So you got the fan base super excited. Is there anything you want to say to the fan base to kind of pre-hype them for next year?
Yeah, I'm not going to also hide from it. That is my girlfriend. So hello, Allie. I appreciate that. I didn't know she was going to be doing that or watching. So that's pretty cool. But to say to the fan base, I would just reiterate I think there's a really good closeness with this class coming in to where we haven't even played with each other. And we already feel like we're teammates. And that's really special. It takes a certain kind of guy at the helm to bring those guys in. And it takes those guys as they are to be, wired a certain way to be able to have that dynamic. So I think people should be really excited about this group. And I think, you're going to see the fruit of it sooner rather than later.
On that note, have you connected with Cole Cronin? I just saw that he was bumped up. He's going to be one of your offensive linemen. He was just bumped up to 4-star today or yesterday.
Yeah, I have. We have spoken a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, we had him on a Blue Turf Talk, and he's just one of the same kind of talent, just like you. High integrity. Don't really care about the monetization part of the college game, and you just want to get on the blue and put your footprints down on the school. So I thought that was really neat, and the fact that you're out there. I got to keep praising you for that. You're out there recruiting. That's if we had 10 more people just like you, you know,
We'd have a full
we'll be doing, yep, we'll be doing just great.
Ron said, I'm assuming it's Ron. We're going to say that it's Ron until he corrects me. If you have to step in and play your first year, how ready do you feel you'd be to do so?
I think just to answer this like realistically, it's hard to determine that without having been there, because I know from my past experience and how I've obviously learned offenses before, and I know college is different. But just with things in general, I feel like I learn things fast. I pick up on things fast, and that I pick up on them thoroughly. So I believe, and I know, I feel like I trust the abilities God gave me in the sense that I can learn these things fast, and I think I would definitely be ready. I know obviously it's a big week. I think it's Oregon, by the way. It's the first game. So nice little welcome to college football moment that would be. But, however realistic that is, I don't know. But I know who I am, and I know the process with which I approach things, and I have zero doubt that I would be ready for that.
And then another one from Pops. What are your academics like, and what is your major going to be?
So I believe I have a 4.2 right now. And I don't know my major yet. I'm thinking about sports nutrition or nutrition of some sort, because I know nutrition has been a big part of my life, really paying attention to that. But I do know I'm going to be minoring in music. So I'm excited for that. That's going to be fun.
And for the audience, Bronco Nation, again, if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat, and we will highlight those during our show. But something that we found out in our, from the article and from our first episode with you is you're quite the violinist.
Something like that, yeah. I will be playing in the Boise State University Orchestra.
Nice. Yep. And for those of you that don't know, Charlie Daniels has tapped Jackson Taylor to take the devil out of Georgia. So, violin humor. What can I say?
I love that.
So your release is tightened. Your footwork's cleaner. You're processing at a college speed already. What part of your film are you most excited for Boise State fans to see when they start breaking down like they do every Bronco quarterback?
What I would say, and I haven't posted my film yet, but I'm about to. I'm finishing up. I haven't gotten around to finishing it, but there are a lot of end zone view plays. And the reason for that is I hope that people who look at it are able to now see a little bit closer. Maybe you have a bigger screen on your computer or whatever, but you should be able to see on many plays, and sometimes plays break down. You got to do something, but you should be able to see on a lot of plays that how my head moves from where I'm starting in my progression, my next part to the next part, and whether I'm climbing or staying in the pocket or moving, whatever it is, you should be able to see that process through head movements and through seeing how the play is developing and why I'm moving on to certain things to the next part of the play, which goes back to what we were talking about in terms of the process. But I believe that's college football, and you have to be able to do that consistently, and pro football even more consistently and even more at a high level. So I'd hope that people be able to see that through watching my feet and my head and my eyes through all that.
Yeah. And one of probably the greatest quarterback in Boise State history, Kellen Moore, he was known for being able to throw his receivers open. And that takes a lot of trust between you and your receiver to make that happen. I know my dad has said many times he made a throw that there was nobody there. And then by the time the ball came down, there's a receiver right there wide open. how well are you at being able to see the field like that? And or is that something that you're working on to be able to do that, build that trust with your receivers to where you can throw it to a spot on the field and know that they're going to get there?
Well, definitely working on it, but I think it was at its best this year for sure. And what that all stems from is an understanding of coverage. And you have to know what the defense is playing most times. You don't always have to know. I know it's easy to think, oh, quarterbacks, you have to know the coverage and everything. You don't necessarily have to know exactly what they're in, because usually defenses aren't just sitting and playing cover 3. They're probably having different variations of it. And it's going to be, you don't need to go and sit there and say, oh, they're playing 3 buzz and they're bringing the outside, back or whatever. They're bringing the safety down. Like, you don't necessarily have to do that, but you do have to have a good understanding of what they're playing. And that's how those moments happen, because they're playing quarters. So this safety's responsibility is number 2 vertical. So now I have to be able to throw this guy on if we're in a double post, throw this guy to the field and throw him open, throw it before he gets out of his break. So basically when you have that understanding, that's when that stuff comes from. And I'm sure Kellen Moore had one of the highest, understandings of that you can get, because he was so successful at it.
Yeah. This is Ron, by the way. I do have confirmation. Says his wife is already a fan. She is a music teacher and plays violin, piano, and cello. And then Pop wants to know what your favorite composer is.
My favorite composer. I saw Dudamel actually at the Hollywood Bowl with my grandma I guess it was a couple months ago now, over the summer. So that was pretty cool to be able to do that. You guys may not know who that is. It's okay.
I'm sure he doesn't either. He's probably hoping you'd say something like Beethoven.
Yeah, I know, but we gotta go. We gotta go for recent ones.
And then, of course, if he would have came back like the dog.
Wow.
So, I've been watching your tape during your senior year. And then you just described you do a lot of checkdowns. There's a lot of timing involved. Some of the comparisons that I've seen in the past on the blue would be, like a Kellen Moore, especially with the timing, the checking down. Brett Rippon comes to mind. And then some of those long passes that you have, they're right there. Remind me of Dinwiddie. So when you've talked to Boise State staff, what's their vision for you, and do they compare you with any past Bronco quarterbacks, or they just want to be you?
There hasn't been explicit comparisons, but what we have talked about Maddox a lot, and I think the reason for that is because Maddox, beat out the guys he did and got his position because of how elite he was up here, and that's going to be something I have to be very similar to, because I may have some height on Maddox, but it's not like it's a ton, and athleticism, it's not like I'm running around like Lamar Jackson. I can make everybody in the whole field miss. So it's going to take that to be able to be as successful as I plan and hope to be. So we've really talked about how important it is to be able to spend the time with him and see how he leads the team and how they rally around him, to be able to, bring the best parts of that with the best parts of what I believe I do, and, make sure I'm the best version of myself when it is my turn on that field.
And, I'm really glad that you brought up Maddox. That's one of those things that I really admire. Mad Dog is he has an extremely high EQ. He's been counted out a lot. He's been put up under a microscope, by Bronco Nation. Sometimes it seems like he's damned if he does and damned if he does or doesn't. But the quarterback leadership is everything, here in Bronco history, especially when a program's going through transition. How have your coaches described your leadership style? I mean, I've seen it on film, but what do your coaches say about you?
I feel like it's very, I mean, it's typical to say, but I think it's a lot of like by example stuff. Because there are times when I need to be very vocal and get guys going, before a game or whatever. But sometimes there are times you just need to just be silent and do your job at a really high level. And I think that speaks a ton about leader. That does the leading for you, because people say, all right, he doesn't need to be, he may not need to be flashy and be talking with the other team all the time and do all these extra things. But, whether he does that or not, he's doing his job and he's doing it at a high level. And I believe doing that is successful leadership. And that's what I try my best to be able to do. And then I think also a lot of it is just by having good relationships with everybody. Leadership starts with relationships, and you don't want to lead someone just because you're in a position of leadership playing quarterback, but you want to lead someone because they are in a position to be led, and you guys have a good enough relationship to where leadership isn't just about you telling people what to do, but it's also even hearing what they have to say and making sure you're in the best situation based on what you guys can both come up with. So I think it all starts with a really good relationship with your teammates, which I was fortunate to have. And that does a lot of that for you, because it's a lot easier to rally around someone who you already trust.
And you mentioned last time you were on about serving your teammates. Do you still believe in that?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's another big part of it, because when you're able to, it seems like in the landscape of football, quarterbacks, starters, really high level, like the best players, like they should be the ones who are catered to, when, I think it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. You're already going to get a lot of that naturally. So what's the harm in doing some of that yourself for other people? I think that's important.
You want to give the fans a story from this season, maybe a huddle moment or a practice moment where your leadership really showed up?
Let's see. I would say we were playing our rival, Newbury Park High School, and the week before, I factually I had the worst game of my career, and it was like against a really bad, like not a team that we should have beat very handily. We beat them, we won, but no thanks to me. Like that was kind of what it was. So when you have that kind of game against a team that's like, you should easily handle this team. Now you're going into the biggest game of the season where expectations, need to be the highest, and you got to do something about that. And I think this is when it went back to what we were talking about with leading by example, in the sense of that practice that week was a lot quieter. It was a lot more locked in, at least from my part, and it was a very focused week of practice, a very good week of practice. Game going into it, I was, in my own headspace. I wasn't dealing with all the rah-rah of like game day and getting fired up with everything. And we got out there and, had a really solid game.
So Bronco Nation, again, we welcome your comments and your questions for Jackson. We'll have him for just a short time more. But we are broadcasting this in the Bronco Nation updates group. Boastfully, we have over 31,000 members. Most of them probably watching right now, who are anxious about the quarterback future of this program. I'm sure that you heard, Mad Dog's down. We just came off of a loss in San Diego. I think you were there. A soggy, messy game where, there was a struggle at the quarterback position. And then, so that's kind of downtrodden the fan base. And I've had, reoccurring dialogue with our fans in the Bronco Nation updates group, and so they have the mindset of, I'll believe it when I see that he's on the blue. I know that we're readdressing this. Do you have anything that you can say to him directly that will give them comfort that, you are coming in January and you will be on the blue suited up for the Broncos?
Yeah, I've said this, I believe, before in some other things, maybe on Twitter or whatever. But like my housing application is done, my school application is done and accepted. I just got my first email for the academic advising stuff. Everything is done. I like my parents who are renting a house about 20 minutes outside of Boise. Like that's finalized. They'll be there, I believe, around the same time I get there. And everything else, like everything is already set in stone. It's not even just words at this point, because like that stuff has already happened, and is continuing to happen as we go about. So, there's zero doubt, and, there should be zero doubt in anyone's mind, but I know obviously there's zero doubt in my family's mind. We're all in.
So there you go, Bronco Nation. Jackson is all in. I never had a doubt. I knew that when we first spoke to you in July, from talking to you, and I'm connected to your dad on one of the social places. I could just see how committed your family was, and so I really have never had a doubt. And I know that you're not in it for like the monetization. That a lot of the athletes are for, or you even said you're not. I mean, you pay attention to like the stars, but it wasn't the main thing, right? So I've always known where your heart is. So Bronco Nation, there you go. He's going to be here in January. So, he says he's all in.
Sorry, I was trying to look up a stat and I couldn't find it. Ron says, look forward to watching you play. Go Jackson. So that's going to be a lot of the fans, I'm sure. You've given them a lot to be excited about. What does your training schedule look like heading into signing day and the summer? And where do you still want to grow before stepping on campus?
Yeah, we were full go from the Monday after the season ended on Friday. So after that weekend, it's been full go, 5 days a week with lifting, speed training, and all that kind of stuff with my coach that I've been working with since I was in, I think, 7th or 8th grade. So that's fully in effect. And in terms of where I want to be, like I have my goals written down for January 7th, which I believe is like calling day, or like when I have to be there. And I'd like to see, the muscle mass go up. I'd like to be at 200, going in. There is some weight loss with the season, so making that up and then building off of it. And then stronger, obviously want to be the strongest version of myself, most athletic version of myself. And then still through all that, working with one of my quarterback coaches for, doing film stuff and making sure, now we can watch college film instead of just high school. So that'll be really helpful. And to be able to go in already feeling like, I'm playing college football as for the last few months of my high school career.
So,
Nick lost his page.
I'm just I'm thinking 20 minutes away from Boise. Are they going to be staying in Meridian? Is that they find a place there?
Might be Eagle. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I don't exactly remember where they were.
All right. So you're planning to hopefully you're planning to continue to recruit other players to Boise State. I don't know how. I think you can kind of have a say even with the C-27 and beyond. Hopefully. now that you are the clear quarterback of 26, and you've made that point here today, Bronco Nation loves seeing that. We've known since this senior season, your senior season, that we've known you since before your senior season, and we really appreciate the relationship we have with you. Have you felt that support by, like, not just us, but like others in Bronco Nation? And has that kind of given you some fuel during your senior season?
Yeah, absolutely. And I always appreciate you guys, because I know you always text before games wishing good luck, and like that's, I always like appreciate those, and it feels, you feel like you're going in with the support, which is awesome. And in terms of like just the rest of like Bronco Nation and Bronco fans, like I know there's been some natural, like, because I know we've lost guys and we've lost quarterback commits where, I feel like I've tried my best, and I feel like I've done a pretty good job of making it known, that we're not going to be doing any of that. We're all in as a family. So I feel like there's been some good stuff to rally behind in terms of that, which has been really encouraging. So I know Bronco Nation is a group of people that love their team, but they also really care, and they expect the results that they deserve because they've gotten them before. And it just reminds me to be so grateful to have a fan base that really cares about their team. And even when things are not as great, and they have the things that are being said aren't as great, as a result, like, I would so much rather have a fan base that loves and cares about their team and expects great results than one that doesn't care and that isn't involved. So I love seeing that, and it encourages me, and it was very helpful and great to see my senior season.
But I do have to warn you, because, just like any family, you do have some cousin Eddies out there. And so, you got to take the good with the bad, and that's just the way it is. But for the most part, Bronco Nation, we love our student athletes, and we want to see you guys, grow into great human beings first, and then also perform like a champion on the field.
I'm excited.
So I have a personal question, not a personal personal. But personal from me, that's nowhere to be found anywhere else. So you had Kellen Moore, had the Nate Potters on his line, had some really good linemen that went on to play NFL. You had Brett Ripien, had some Ezra Cleveland, and the guy that plays with the Seahawks, has the weird name. I can never say it. Starts with an O and a J. Anyway, there's been some great linemen come through Boise State that's played in the NFL. You had Ryan Clady, was another great lineman, played in the NFL and played college with Zabransky. So you've had these run of great Boise State quarterbacks that were behind great linemen. Who are you most excited to have blocking for you should you get play time next year and beyond?
Well, first of all, I want to shout out Sua. I can't pronounce his last name, but our commit in this class. We were on our OVs together, and absolutely love that guy. We've been talking pretty much all the time. So I'm really excited to play with him, and I know we've already been talking. I know he's on an early grad, so we'll see him in the summer. But we've been talking a lot, and I'm really excited to play with him, as well as Cole, and the other guys we have in this class. But obviously it'd be great to play with Cage Casey. Unfortunate. He's a senior, right?
He's a junior, but he made
probably heading. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lottery ticket.
Okay. Well, that would obviously be great. I know he's a captain. I know people really rally around him too. But I also think we have a really good class of guys coming in, and I think they're still working on another guy or two. So, if we get all the guys that, we're hoping to, and keep the ones we do have, like, I think we're in store for a really good group of people. So this 26 class of guys, especially up front, is really, really talented.
And you should have like the Steel Curtain, the Steel Brothers, next year.
Yeah, they'll still be there.
I know Jason's banged up right now, and hopefully he can get back this year. But they've been really progressing, as they're with their career with Boise State.
We have another pop question. Have you ever had to play with pain? And if so, how did it affect your performance?
Yeah, I both times, well, counting like bumps and bruises aside, both times I had to actually deal with stuff were my wrist. One in a playoff game last year in the first round, happened in like the second quarter. And I thought I broke it again. And it was absolutely brutal, especially because like first time it happened was a JV football game my freshman year. And I was able to finish the game and tape it up. But like now you're in a playoff game and guys hit a lot harder. And that was still, I will still say that was the most physical team I've ever played in my high school career. It was St. Paul down south from where I'm at. And their linemen, they had two groups. They had a sub, like they had their subs that they would bring in who were just as big, if not bigger than their original guys. And they're all built like SEC linemen. I was like, holy crap, dude, this high school football, like in Division IV, like we're not even talking about like modern day or anything. Like, geez. So, one of them got me pretty good, and like it was bothering me. So played through it. It was because you kind of have no other choice, but it was kind of tough to catch the snap a bit and hold the ball. It was kind of more of a throwing with one hand, and like instead of like using this hand to guide and like tap the ball or whatever it is, like kind of more of a one hand show. But it worked out. Otherwise, it's just been, I've had some cramps that have stung and hung around during games, and pretty gnarly bruises and wind getting knocked out of you. But that's all. You kind of get that anyway.
That's just a Tuesday for me. All right. We do have another comment from Ron. Says, my son's football career at Boise State was a very positive experience for him and us. So,
I believe Ron's son was a DB.
What year?
Somewhere in the 90s, I believe.
I might have seen him play in person then.
Yeah. Okay, so Jackson, Boise State is entering the Pac-12 in July 2026. Same year you're going to be here. What does it mean to know that you'll be part of a whole new era of Bronco football? I mean, you're a California kid, and Pac-12 has always been kind of synonymous with the California culture and that West Coast. What does that mean to you, man?
I think it's really cool. I think it's also, it's helpful to be going in, like it's new for everybody. Like it's not just like, it's one of those things where like you already have enough new stuff on your plate when you're going in as a freshman, but then that's just one less where it's like, that's new for everybody at the same time. We're all figuring that out together. So I think that's helpful. But I'm excited. It is definitely a new era. That's a good way to put it. Some new teams, but also some important familiar ones, which is pretty cool. So I think it's going to be good for not only for the program, but I think for just the conference groups in general. I think it'll be good to have a Pac-12 again, like a real one, and make it competitive for sure.
Do you think the move helps you get to the NFL?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't think it's like necessarily this absolutely mandatory part of it, but I think it absolutely doesn't hurt. And I think it definitely helps because, there's more eyes now. Games are more competitive, and maybe, a couple years down the road becomes, they call it like a power conference or whatever. And I think all that stuff is really important, but I think Boise itself already is a great stepping stone for that.
All right. Bronco Nation, we're getting ready to wrap this up. So your time to put comments and questions for Jackson is running thin. So if you have anything you want to ask him, throw them up there. Well, we've only got a few more minutes with him, and then the show will end. And with him and his off-season workouts and stuff, this may be the only time you get to interact with him. So if you want to ask him a question, get him in now or forever hold your peace. Let's see. What's one thing Bronco Nation would be surprised to learn about you that has nothing to do with football?
Well, the first thing I would have said was the violin thing, but we did address it, which I think we addressed it last time too. So
Yep.
it may not be completely brand new. But the other thing is I've also done martial arts for pretty much my whole life. You know, I would love to be able to say I'm a black belt. I'm as close as you can get to being a black belt without being one yet. So the plan is to finish that as soon as possible. But I've been doing that my whole life. So I think that's kind of a cool thing. I'm glad my parents put me in it pretty young because it's been enjoyable and it's been helpful for sure. Yeah, and otherwise, I'd like to think I'm a decent golfer. I'm not, but I'm trying to be. And I'm a big outdoors guy. I love to fish, and I love being in the water, more so lakes than the ocean, but I'm not against the ocean. Never been hunting, but would love to, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited because Boise has a lot of good parts relating to that. Good fly fishing too. So
We do have a Facebook comment or question. Jim Barker asks, "Can you run the rock?"
ooh, yeah. I wish I'd been asked to do it more in high school, but we just had too many good running backs. But yeah, I would like to think I definitely can. I like to when pro style and dual threat was a bigger thing. I would always like to call myself a pro style that will pleasantly surprise you.
Right.
Well, speaking of,
Yeah, go ahead, Nick. Okay. I know we did a lightning round the first time. I think I've added more to this, but just to refresh the fans' memory, you up for another lightning round?
Oh, absolutely. Let's go.
All right. All right. Favorite warm-up song?
Born in the USA still. I think I said that the first time.
Nice. Now, this one may be a little bit harder for you since you're not in Boise, but you've made visits to Boise. Do you have a favorite Boise restaurant yet?
We went to 10 Barrel on my official. I've heard, what's the steak place out there? There's a nicer steak place. I forgot what it's called.
Candler's.
Yes. And we were talking about that, and I'd love me a steak, and I haven't even been there yet, so it's kind of hard to make that my answer. But just the idea of it sounds amazing to me. So
They have a great ribeye steak.
I'm gonna need to try that as well as a lot of other things on that menu because
Yep.
I love me
They
some
got
steak.
Some wild salmon from the Northwest. Some good stuff, man.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Doesn't belong, but I'll allow it.
Stanley or Owala?
Say that one more time.
Stanley or Owala?
You got to remind me what, like, in terms
Water
of
The hydros.
the water bottles. Okay, I was
Yeah.
making sure. I didn't want to be wrong about that. I'll go Stanley. You get more of them out here for sure.
Yeti or Arctic?
Yeti.
Fry sauce or ketchup? You may not know that one yet either. You will.
Well, I
in
know
item.
ketchup. So
Favorite sport to watch that's not football?
golf or basketball, one of the two.
All right. Blue Bunny ice cream or Bluebell ice cream?
Bluebell.
Well, Bronco Nation, this quarterback's a bust. If you're stuck on an island, what 3 items do you bring?
A Bible, another person, hopefully, maybe someone who's good with their survival skills, and I'm not gonna say like a boat because I'm assuming you get one item, so I'd probably bring a knife.
Nice. All right, that's all I got. It's good answers.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah, mostly.
So, regards to your hunting and fishing, the Steele brothers would be great to have them take you under their wing. I've seen they're acclimated to Idaho perfectly. So, you want to get into the hunting and fishing, get with those guys, and you'll be hooked up for sure.
Let's go. I'd love to. I hope they watch this and know that I want to do that because that'd be awesome. Are they from Idaho?
No, they're from California, but
Really?
yeah, but they're wearing the camouflage and everything. They're fitting right in.
I can just tell by the way they dress in game day and the way they do their eye black. Like these dudes are hardcore for sure.
And they're the nicest people too, and their parents.
I believe it. Yeah.
Yep. All right. I got another question for you. Now I know the Pac-12 is not complete, but right now there's 9 teams, I believe, 8 or 9. If you could throw a touchdown in Albertson Stadium against any one of those new Pac-12 teams, who are you picking and why?
So it would either be, for the sake of just in general, I would probably say San Diego State, get back, and that would always be fun. But I also think it'd be really cool with Texas State to have, a Texas team in there who's also in the conference. I think that's pretty cool that we have a Texas team. So to throw a touchdown against a Texas team who's in the Pac-12 was pretty cool. But then also to beat up on San Diego State, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I'll be at every Texas State game that's played in Texas because that's where I am. Yay! It's about 4.5 hours from the house, I believe. So,
oh geez, still quite a drive.
Yeah, I'll need you to leave me a guest ticket.
Okay.
I
can get you there. I can get you the ticket. I can get you there.
Oh man, I had something and it went away when I made that joke. That's what I get for.
I hope it was worth it.
It was.
We have one more comment from YouTube.
That's what it was.
We're speaking about hunting. We do have like a great outdoorsman, a future Hall of Famer, if not already a Hall of Famer. Boise State, he played for the Dallas Cowboys. Leighton Vander Esch, he's really big into hunting, and I still see him around campus now and then. But I think he promotes, or he's part owner of some outfitter gear or something like that. So you have to connect with him too if you see him, and then he could probably get you a real good spot and get a nice trophy.
Hey, if someone knows him and can make that connection, that would be pretty cool. I mean, it'd be pretty cool to hang with Leighton Vander Esch anyway. But also, if we can get some hunting hookup stuff, like that'd be pretty cool. So
there you go, chat. This is your assignment. If you're watching this and LVE, connect JT up with them, and so he can really become acclimated to Idaho in that way. Also, if you are replaying this show, go ahead and throw in your questions and your comments for JT, and I'll bug him and get those to him, and we'll get your questions and your comments addressed. But until then, Jackson, final word. What do you want to leave for Bronco Nation with tonight?
Yeah, I would just leave with encouragement. I hope there's a lot to be excited about with this group of guys, with where the program's going. I think we're going to have something pretty special coming up, in January and in the summer. And we still have a season to finish. So nothing is over by any means. But in terms of, where myself and this class fit in the conversation, like, I think there's a lot to be excited about. And, I've spoke with all of them, and each one of them are such genuine people. So when your staff is able to bring people who are obviously talented, but are also such great fits for the program, like, something is right. And I hope that people can see that, and I hope they'll see it on the field in a few years. And I think they will, for sure.
And I think you've pretty much put everybody's mind at ease. You are coming to Boise State. There's no getting around that. You're sound in your word. My dad used to tell me all the time, a man has nothing if he doesn't have his word. And we appreciate that as a fan base, that you made the commitment and you're sticking to the commitment. So we do appreciate that, and we appreciate you coming on tonight. You want to give us your message for future teammates who might be watching this stream right now?
Yeah, if it's future teammates who are already there and older guys, I just want them to know that I'm ready to be all eyes and ears. I know there is a culture at Boise State, and I am fully excited to learn. And I know great programs are player led, and I'm excited to be able to see how things go from being a guy who gets to be led and understand what I'm being a part of, and then hopefully transition to being one of the guys who gets to be those leaders. So I'm excited to learn from those guys, and I hope they they take me in and show me all there is to know, because it's a great program and it deserves to uphold the culture that it's been hanging around for a while. So, and if it's guys in this class, then I'm just excited to get to work, because the work starts sooner than we think, and college football is no joke. So hope we're excited to make that transition. I know I am, and I know based on the quality of character of all the guys, I know they are too. So,
and then one final follow up. What's your message to those that may be on the fence, trying to decide whether they want to commit or not?
I would say it always comes down to the people. Anything you do in life, like, everything is going to be people oriented. So when you're making a decision, and when you're thinking about things, see, am I going with the right people who are going to obviously develop me for my goals, but are also going to develop me into the person I want to become? Because football ends at some point. For anybody, no matter if you're Tom Brady or if you're done in high school, football ends at some point, and that's really important. So I hope people are really understanding the magnitude of the people they're going to be around for 4 years, because it's really important. And I think because of that, that's why my family loves Boise State so much. And I think once they really think about that, they'll realize that they do too.
So there you go, Bronco Nation. Jackson Taylor. Can't wait to see you on the blue. Thanks again for joining us for another show. Really appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. These are always so fun. So I'm glad we got to do it again, for sure.
All right, until next time, Bronco Nation, make sure you like and share and do all the things with this, and put down your comments and questions. I'll get them to JT. So
I'm going to get
until next time.
Do all the things.
Do all the things. So, again, appreciate you, JT. Appreciate you, Sam. Until next time, Bronco Nation, bleed blue. Hey, if you're looking for more followers, clients, or customers, check out ServingBroncoNation.com and get your business added to the directory. When you purchase a tax-deductible plan, you are investing in Boise State and getting access to millions of views throughout the year on the directory and the Bronco Nation network.